All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Robbie Basel Show. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Robbie Basel, your host, and today, first of all, quick announcement. My ESPN debut is tomorrow. So if you want to make sure to tune in to ESPN Plus, Iona Quinnipiac men's soccer. I'm going to be doing color commentary along with Charlie, who is the play-by-play announcer for this game. So make sure to check that out. That's tomorrow. It's weird that it's tomorrow, but yeah, I'm super excited. I've been hyping this for now over a week, so can't wait to hopefully get some feedback and just enjoy the experience for the first time. So cannot wait for that. But today, a lot to talk about, from soccer to baseball to football, F1, all of that. And we're going to begin with soccer because there's a lot of recent news from that end. And I'm going to begin with telling you right now that if you don't know already, FIFA announced the winning bid for World Cup 2030. So the winners were Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. So the joint bid between Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. And then I'm just pulling up the situation, but there will be 3 games played in South America. So once again, repeating it again, World Cup 2030 will be Spain, Portugal, and Morocco as the main hosts, with 1 game being played in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay starting in June 2030. Now, what are my thoughts on this? I like that Spain, Portugal, and Morocco won. I like that they won over Saudi Arabia. What I don't like is the South American teams. Now, the reason I say that I don't like that the South American teams were added in this is because it takes spots away from teams from CONMEBOL, which is South America, that deserve to be in the World Cup. I mean, Paraguay is not very good. Uruguay won't be as good I believe, in 2030. Argentina is going to be Argentina. So, using that mindset, or that mentality or theory, you're taking spots away from an Ecuador. You're taking spots away from maybe even a Bolivia, because maybe they can develop players. You're taking spots away from teams that absolutely deserve to be there, like in Ecuador, probably. So, I don't know. Spain, Portugal, Morocco makes sense. I love that. The Moroccans have really been growing the game. Spain and Portugal have been growing the game since the beginning. So, really looking back at it again, Uruguay kind of, now like thinking about it, makes sense because they hosted the first one. I'm not buying Paraguay. That's terrible. Paraguay, they're not very good, and we're going to really be able to see how good they are in the Copa America, which is next June. So, more on like Copa America stuff. Remember, in November, I'm going to be doing a recap of the international breaks, September and October. So I'll talk more about the Paraguayan national team and how bad they are then. But man, I like that I like the European teams and Morocco that won. I don't really like the South American teams idea because of the travel and all the other stuff that's going to happen from this. It's an interesting one. I think that's the best way you can put this, because I think the initial reaction from everybody was okay. I had a feeling Spain, Portugal, Morocco were going to win since the bids were announced forever ago now. And then the Saudis lost. It makes sense not to go back to the desert yet. I don't think they should go back to the desert. That's not a biased perspective at all. My reason is I don't want a World Cup. I don't think many people want a World Cup again in December, in November, December. I don't think it's a smart idea. It's smarter to do a World Cup when there's not as many sports happening. And the summer is perfect for that, because sometimes baseball can get a little boring, and in a June, July time frame, you can splash in a World Cup with NBA free agency, NHL free agency, Major League Baseball. There's a lot that can happen. But when you put it in the conversation when the NFL, NBA, NHL are all in action, and you have all the major leagues being played in Europe, I don't think that's very smart So this is unbiased. I'm glad the Saudis lost. But we are going to head next to, we'll start with the Champions League because that was what happened first. And my predictions for this week were shambolic. That's how I'm going to word this. So, how many predictions did I get right this week? It's a very low number. And it's pretty bad. So, the numbers I have, I went 6 for 16, which is 37%. So, that's not very good. But there were some crazy results. So I can defend myself. But right now, I am 50% accurate for the first 2 Champions League match days, which I'm not happy about, but I'm not mad about. And we're going to start with, we'll go group by group. So Group A, we have Bayern play Copenhagen and Galatasaray play Man United. I really underestimated Galatasaray. Like, I knew they were going to be good and competent. I didn't think they'd win at Old Trafford. Like, geez. You go into a match with Man United and Galatasaray comes out with a win? Unbelievable stuff. Goals are scored by Zaha Arturgalu. I probably butchered that. And Mauro Icardi, who missed a penalty and then a couple minutes later scored. Casemiro got a red card. We saw the emergence, I think, for real, of Rasmus Højlund. I love Højlund. I think he's very good. He was if you remember from the Premier League prediction video, he's my signing of the season. I really wish I picked James Maddison, but Rasmus Højlund is looking much better. He's really coming into his own. He scores both goals, gives United a chance. And because of Onana being Onana, what's his name? What's my name? His name is Disappointment. And he costed United the match because Casemiro made a heroics tackle and got sent off. So United went down a player, and then Galatasaray capitalized and won 3-2. What also was weird was Copenhagen? I mean, you're going to Denmark in a hostile environment, and you almost get points against Bayern? Fair play to them. I mean, Larager scored for Copenhagen in the 56th minute to go up 1-0. Then Musiala scored, and then Tell scored. The winning goal was from, let me find them, because we have Tell. Matthias Tell, the Frenchman, scores the winner, getting Bayern all 3 points, and now having the standings of Bayern, Galatasaray in second on 4 points, Copenhagen, and then United. No comment. In Group B, Arsenal disappoint again and did the result I thought they were going to do last week. They went out and lost. Well, not really. I mean, they lost. Arsenal went to France and lost to Lens. Score was 2-1. And listen, I've been waiting to talk about this game for days. It's more impactful that I would have rather have lost and not have Saka get injured than have won and Saka get injured. I'm dead serious. Because Arsenal's getting out of this group, but the fact that Saka got injured and might miss the match with City on Sunday is terrible. This was Arsenal's big chance to get back in the Prem and possibly finish in the top 2 entering the next match day, possibly going at home to City and beat City. They're probably not going to beat City now. If it had any hope, Arsenal should not have much hope to beat City if Saka's not there. I mean, you lost Gabriel Martinelli. Kai Havertz looks terrible. Still, he scored 1 goal, yeah, but he hasn't done much. And then you just don't have a Bukayo Saka. Not very good. Not a good thing for Arsenal. They lost. And then Sevilla played PSV in a match that can be described as insane. And, well, here's what happened. Sevilla scored in the 68th minute, and I thought they were going to win it. I was able to watch the end of this. Then Luke de Jong scored, and then, that's his name, right? I'm trying to get this right. Luke de Jong, yep, I got the right de Jong. And then Youssef En-Nesyri scores on a header to make it 2-1. And then Jordan Teze scores in the 95th minute to equalize and get a point for PSV Eindhoven who are now in fourth on 1 point in 2 matches. Sevilla are in a Europa League spot, which is hilarious because the Europa League merchants are currently in a Europa League spot. Through 2 games, they've drawn their opening 2 matches to Lens and PSV. What have I learned so far? The Lens are here to play. And you kind of have to expect that with a team coming from France, because going away into France is a tall order, a tall task. And Arsenal learned that very quickly. So Arsenal are now in second. Group C, Real Madrid. I predict them to draw Napoli, and what do they do in the end? They break my heart, and they get a winner courtesy of a Merit own goal to beat Napoli 3-2. My biggest takeaway from this game is that Jude Bellingham is that guy. It's weird to think that he's only 20 and he's this good. The guy's a different breed. 34th minute goal for Bellingham. Vinicius opened the scoring for Real Madrid. Ostergaard opened the scoring overall. Then Vinicius scored. Then Bellingham scored. And then Zielinski scored a penalty. And I thought this game was going to end in a 2-2 draw because Napoli played great. But Real Madrid got the winner, won 3-2 on an own goal. They'll take it. They're on 6 points through 2 matches. And I believe they get Braga next. Which I think Braga's made a big statement as well. Braga went out and scored one of the better goals of the group stage so far and beat Union Berlin 3-2. So, yeah. Union Berlin, who I thought were dark horses to make it out of this group, have lost both of their first 2 matches. And it doesn't get any easier for them because they play Napoli next. So, Union Berlin, not in a good spot. Group D, Real Sociedad is proving me wrong a lot. They have gone out and just beat Salzburg in Austria 2-0. And then, by the way, Inter Milan, they just went out and beat Benfica 1-0, which I believe I had that score prediction correct as well. So this group is Sociedad, who are on top over on goal difference ahead of Inter, and Salzburg in third. Benfica, what is going on? They were, I think, a lot of people's favorite to get out of this group with Inter Milan, and they're on 0 points through 2 matches. They need to step it up as well. Group E, Atletico Madrid leads with Lazio, followed by Feyenoord and Celtic. Lazio has really shocked me. And I don't know why I expected not much from Lazio, but they got a late winner over Celtic, and Feyenoord just didn't really... How do I sum this up? 4 of the 5 goals were scored in the first half. It was 2-2 at the break. And then Feyenoord come out flat-footed. Morata scores. Atletico wins 3-2. Feyenoord, it's on the road in Madrid. I think they're going to get them back in the reverse leg, but tough break for Feyenoord. Atletico Madrid's in first, tied with Lazio, then Feyenoord, and then Celtic. Group F. Oh my goodness, Newcastle. I think this is the biggest statement of the day. Was Newcastle just beating PSG 4-1? And this is my match of the week. I don't care. Almiron opens, then Burn. They were up 3-0 in 50 minutes to PSG. A people's favorite to possibly win the thing was losing in Newcastle, of all places, 3-0. A Newcastle team, for reference, has, I don't believe, scored, other than the 1 match, 2. Other than 2 matches, have not scored more than 2 goals. And they conceded, PSG of all people, conceded 3 in 50. If you count legitimate title contenders, Newcastle hasn't beaten any of them. You talk about the Liverpools, the Cities. You go out and beat PSG 4-1? Is Newcastle back? Concerns for the Premier League. I have no idea what that was. If you're not going to hear it in the video, because I have removed background noise on, but there was just a loud bang. I have no idea what it was. But back to this. Newcastle, what a win for them. Their first Champions League match, I believe, in almost 30 years. What a win for them. And then you have the other match in this group, another fixture I believe I predicted correct. You have Dortmund just draw Milan. Everyone wants to at least draw one match. But then we get to the even more fun stuff. And I praised the way I might skip a group to talk about this. I'm skipping a group to talk about this. I was so happy Shakhtar beat Antwerp. I have to say it. But how much stuff has gone on with like Ukraine and all that? I'm not gonna dive into that stuff. Them feeling some sort of national pride as they went out and came from behind and beat Antwerp was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Winning goal from Rakdashvili, and Rakdashvili scored the equalizer, and then Sikon scored his second to Shakhtar Donetsk, a club that usually does not do well in these situations, as they're usually a Europa League merchant, have gone out and beaten a semi-competent club in Antwerp 3-2. In Antwerp. What a statement from Shakhtar Donetsk. I did skip a group cry about it. Barcelona beat Porto in the most boring match of the day, not named Milan Dortmund. There's a 1-0, not talking about it. To Group G, and Man City have proven me wrong again. Man City just love winning 3-1 for some reason. As I said, they're going to draw this match to Leipzig and just beat Leipzig 3-1. City going out to Germany and winning courtesy of goals from Foden, and then a late go-ahead goal from Julian Alvarez. Doku scored the finishing, put the cherry on top, and City just win 3-1 against a competent Leipzig team, putting the standings in this group with Leipzig. I got scroll down. Leipzig in second with City in first because Young Boys and Red Star played a hell of a match in a 2-2 draw. So yeah, story of the first week. Biggest result was you gotta go with Newcastle PSG. I mean, Newcastle not doing well in the league. I mean, Galatasaray United or Real Madrid over Napoli could be in contention. Maybe even Shakhtar over Antwerp. I think Newcastle PSG is the biggest result. Sticking with soccer and previewing this weekend in the Premier League. We're going to start on Saturday's matches. Matches to watch for me. There's not many of them, which is interesting for me to say. Other than, of course, if you want to watch my match on ESPN Plus. But games to watch for me, I mean, Chelsea, Burnley, I guess. I mean, there's not many good ones. It's a lot of. I'm interested to see how Tottenham plays at Luton Town, kind of. I mean, just to play in that smaller environment, I'm interested to see how they handle that. There's not many marquee matchups on Saturday, but if I had to pick one, United Brentford would be my pick. Manchester United coming off that loss to Galatasaray in the Champions League. Brentford came out and just drew Forest, which is a horrible look for them. And the issue with Brentford has been that they just don't score goals, and that is going to be a problem. What's nice is, I mean, they scored 10 goals, but you feel like they can do just more because they conceded 10 as well. So they're playing Manchester United, a team that doesn't score a lot either. I think this is going to be either a 1-1 draw. I think United could win this game, but it's going to have to see a lot of people step up and to give themselves a chance to win this match because United is not in good form. But I do think they could come out with a win in this match. Not much else to watch out for. Crystal Palace and Forest is going to be, I think, very boring. That's going to scream 0-0. Fulham, Sheffield. Could Sheffield go out and get a result? Not sure. They are playing a team that does not score, so I think they could get a result coming after their 8-0 loss to Newcastle. Everton, Bournemouth, not going to be that very exciting. And then, of course, Chelsea, Burnley. So that's the 10th. That's Saturday. And then Sunday, you get the whole shebang. So you open with Brighton and Liverpool. Why isn't this the Saturday game? Can they not flex games like the NFL does? I know they changed the dates and stuff, but this is a Saturday afternoon matchup in the United States. 12:30. I would love to watch Brighton Liverpool. I mean, where both these two teams are in the table currently, I mean, the stakes for this game are insane. Brighton in 6th, Liverpool in 4th. A win by either of these teams would be put them in net first, depending on what City do against Arsenal, which we will talk about in a second. I mean, this match is very impactful because it's very possible that Tottenham can be leading the table after match day 8. So, a lot to look out for in that match with Brighton and Liverpool. I'm expecting Liverpool to win, but don't be surprised if Brighton goes out and gets their big result. I'm hoping to see Ansu Fati, though. I love Ansu Fati. I'm hoping he goes out and gets the job done. West Ham Newcastle, another game I like. Because West Ham is slowly falling back down to earth after their hot start, and Newcastle is going the opposite way. Newcastle coming up, they're going to have a lot of energy coming out after their big win with PSG, as mentioned before. I think this match is going to be a lot of fun. I have Newcastle winning 2-0. Goals, I love Alexander Isak if he starts, but don't be surprised if I see goals. I think from Callum Wilson. I think he's going to have a day. Callum Wilson will be my player to watch out for in that match. And then Wolves Villa, I think Aston Villa is going to win. Not really going to dive in that match very much. And then the big one, Arsenal City. I wish, as a fan of the sport, I would be more excited for this. And I'm not. You're not going to see some of the star players from either side that you wish to see in a match at this point in the season. You're not going to see Kevin De Bruyne. You're not going to see Rodri. You're not going to see Bukayo Saka. You're not going to see Gabriel Martinelli. Who knows who starts in goal for Arsenal in this match as well? You may not see the star defense. You may not see the star midfield for rest from the previous game during the week. It's frustrating. And I wish this doesn't happen again for the reverse, because Arsenal needs to win this game. I don't think they do it. I think this is going to be a draw, 1-1. Early goal from Arsenal, give you that false hope, and then City gets it done. Sorry about that. I've had a dry throat all day. But like I said, I'm expecting a draw. Or if Arsenal get a draw, I think it's going to be points dropped. But listen, if you can go out and get points with a not as fully healthy squad against City, you'll take it. So that's all the soccer I'm going to talk about for you today. We're next going to head to the MLB playoffs, because that was the next most recent thing. And all the series has ended in a sweep, for those that don't know already. My thoughts on it, the biggest shocker for me was the Twins. It's not the Diamondbacks. Because you learn that the Diamondbacks are legit, but the Twins didn't choke it. I thought they were going to get destroyed by the Blue Jays. But apparently the Blue Jays don't have any brain cells to go out and just have the right manager on the field. I mean, there's base running mistakes, pitching choice, the choosing of pitchers, removing Barrios. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think of Toronto anymore. I think they need to fire their manager and start over again. Keep the core, but fire their manager. They need to do it. If they want to go anywhere in the next 2 years, they need to do it. Yeah, sorry about the throat. Hopefully I'm going to sound fine entering tomorrow. It's a little bit of a dry throat right now, but the Phillies beat the Marlins. Not shocked at all. The Rangers beat the Rays. Surprised it was a sweep, and not surprised, though, with how dead the Trop looked. Can't really comment on that. And then the aforementioned Diamondbacks. Listen, I didn't think their starting pitching was able to keep up, but apparently their bats are. That's for sure. I mean, you look at the 6-3 result from Tuesday. I mean, Corbin Carroll hit a home run. Ketel Marte is here to play. Gabriel Moreno is proving himself as a legitimate catcher of the future. He's further cementing that spot and as a catcher long term for them, for the Diamondbacks, which I think is phenomenal. And then they went out. You win 5-2 on Wednesday, courtesy of a big day offensively from Alek Thomas. So, listen, the Diamondbacks are here. They will go up against the Dodgers in a West Coast showdown. The Braves play the Phillies. Matchup I predicted correct. Texas plays the Orioles tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I'm interested to see how that game goes. Twins, Astros. The Astros are going to win that series. I'm comfortable with that. The Diamondbacks, a lot of these series are unpredictable, but you can go check out my last video to see what my full MLB predictions for the playoffs were. I dive into a lot more about most of these teams then. So we'll head to the NFL next. And we're going to preview some of the big games for this week. First of all, shout out the Bears for winning their first game in almost a year. They deserve the win. It sucks for Washington, though. Games to watch for this week. They're the 1 o'clock slots. And you can watch the game in London. The 1 o'clock slots don't really intrigue me that much. But if I had to pick a game that could be very interesting, I mean, I like the Texans-Falcons game a lot more than I should. I'm hoping Desmond Ridder bounces back, but I think the game of the early slot would be New Orleans, New England. It's going to be them. You want me to pick Ravens, Steelers? I think the Steelers are going to get killed. Listen, the Patriots are losing defensive backs like flies. Jeez. The Patriots are losing defensive backs like flies. That's a big problem. I don't know if they keep up with New Orleans, but I think their ground game will look better, or at least try to look better for New England. I mean, they can stop the run well. I don't expect a big day on the ground for the Saints, but through the air, I think is where they're going to have a chance. But they haven't looked great. I don't think so through the air. So I think if the Patriots can hold on for a little bit, limit to the Saints to about 14 points, I think they have a chance to win. My prediction, though, I think they do keep them to 14 points. But I think it's going to be a 14-10 Saints win. That's my prediction for that game. Dolphins are going to beat the Giants. My prediction for this week, I'm going to the Lions over the Panthers. Give me the Colts to beat Tennessee. I think Tennessee, they're riding high, and they're going to fall back down to earth a little bit. Though I do expect a big run day from Derrick Henry. Buffalo beats Jacksonville in London. Ravens beat the Steelers. Texans beat the Falcons. Afternoon games to watch for. Rams, Eagles. Cooper Kupp is back. I'm interested to see his usage. Pair him up with Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell. What a trio. Kind of like that, honestly. I'm interested to see how they look against the Eagles secondary. Interested to see who gets marked by Darius Slay and goes for a bad day in fantasy. Jets Broncos, I think will be a fun one. Jets will be without DJ Reed, which I think is a big concern. But I think there will be some big adjustments by the Jets defense to limit the air attack by Russell Wilson. I am backing the ground game, though, for the Jets this week. Breece Hall is fully back, and he's playing the Broncos. Hopefully he doesn't get injured against the Broncos again, but Broncos country prepared to be beat by the Jets. I have the Jets winning 27-17. Big day. I think, I want Garrett Wilson to go nuts, but this is Breece Hall's game to go crazy. Garrett Wilson had his attempt last week. But if you want any sort of revenge game, give me Breece Hall over 75 rushing yards. Jets win. Chiefs, Vikings. Listen, Kirk Cousins, I think, is going to go nuts. If Zach Wilson can outduel Pat Mahomes somewhat, you got to think that Kirk Cousins can do that too, I mean, if Kirk Cousins has had the stats he's had and the team he has and the record, I don't know what to think about them. I do have the Chiefs winning, though, by 3 points. Big day for me. Who do I think is going to have a big game? Listen, this is Travis Kelce's real time to shine. This is going to be the battle of the tight ends. I can't wait to watch this one. I have the Chiefs winning 23-20. Sunday Night Football, Cowboys, Niners. This is going to be... I feel like this is the Niners game that they might look really bad and still win. I'm going to say the Niners win, but the Cowboys will make this close, though. I think so, at least. And then Packers-Raiders, not very intrigued by this one. I mean, if the Packers lose, they're in a lot of trouble. So that's my big thing for the NFL for this week. It's a little more brief. But speaking of being on this note, I have no updates currently on Into the Stands. I did get that question a couple of times. No one has any updates on the current situation with WIUR from the rain from last week. Like I said, no info. You guys will be some of the first to know regarding that situation. But to make sure you get all the recent updates when they come out, as well as other news during the time for Into the Stands, make sure to follow the Instagram. The handle at Into the Stands will be in the description. I got this question I was supposed to answer on Into the Stands this week. The rookies have looked better than advertised. And I'm talking CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson. Bryce Young, I don't know. I mean, listen, you remember how high I liked CJ Stroud in the NFL. If you remember my NFL draft prediction from April, you know how much I like CJ Stroud. I said, screw the IQ, he's going second. And I was right. But I had the order right, but I didn't think they were going to draft Will Anderson. He's looked great too. CJ Stroud is looking like a world beater, and I think he will guide the Texans to a much better season than people thought. But the Colts and Anthony Richardson has looked better than I think anyone could have expected. If Anthony Richardson survives this season alive and doesn't get killed by that terrible Colts O-line, that is a win for Indianapolis. That is better than like a top 10 pick, essentially. Because you will have your quarterback of the future. You will have what Andrew Luck could have been. I mean, he's basically Andrew Luck, but taller. Because he looks massive. And he's very fast. I would be terrified to play Anthony Richardson if I'm the Jets defense. Because we don't stop the run. And it's great. I mean, when you have Isaiah Pacheco go crazy, problems. But we're going to head to the last topic of today's show. The concluding topic. And that is Formula One. So today in Formula One, what happened? Well, today is Friday. We have a new Grand Prix. It's Qatar. It's back. But qualifying was on Friday because the sprint is tomorrow. So the sprint and the sprint shootout is tomorrow. So here is the order for the race on Sunday ahead of the sprint tomorrow. Verstappen's on pole with Russell and Hamilton second and third. Love that. Alonso fourth, Leclerc fifth, Piastri sixth, Gasly 7, Ocon 8, Valtteri Bottas P9 for the Alfa Romeo. You love to see it. Lando DNF'd and may have had some incidents. I didn't watch qualifying. I'm watching the highlights literally right after this because it's the timing of my day. Lando 10th, Tsunoda 11th, Sainz 12th, and Paris 13th, Albon 14th. I haven't even looked at this yet. Yeah, I should have looked at this more before I started. Hulkenberg 15th, not that shocking. The shocking one is Zhou 20th. Lawson 18th. I mean, he looked so good, but this could be his comeback down to earth moment. But, man, wow. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, Stroll missing Q2, not shocking. Sargent barely missing Q2. He missed by 0.3 of a second. Hulkenberg barely survived. Wait, do I have my order right? Oh, yeah, I do. Because there were some... I know Sargent missed by 1/10. Albon, I believe, was P15 going into Q2, and then just had a little bit better of a time than Hulkenberg. But Sonoda P11, and it lost in P18. Like I said, it's a big coming down to earth moment for Liam Lawson. But listen, he's done a job, and I think he could possibly be running in the run for the F1 seat at Williams. I wouldn't say Sargent doesn't deserve it. I don't think he's ready for it. And that's why, like, if you really think about it, if I've talked to people about this before the season, I wasn't a fan. I was like excited that an American was back, but I think this is turning into somewhat of the Latifi moment. What Latifi has done, but I think Lawson is I think Sargent's better than Latifi. Hell, I think it's so easy to say Lawson's better than Latifi. He's got a point in his first couple of races. But I don't think it's right to immediately jump out and give them a seat because you saw what happened to Nick DeVries. We all saw what happened. I think it's too quick to go out and think Lawson deserves a seat right away. It's too quick. It's too quick of thinking. And, you need some of this stuff will take time. The Red Bull Academy has apparently not developed as many drivers as what they used to. That is somewhat true, but you take that with a grain of salt because Checo is still in a Red Bull, and I don't think he should be in a Red Bull at the end of the year. I think a lot of people will agree with me on that. But I think the Red Bull discussion, and a lot of these other seat discussions, should be for another episode. But if you want to hear more about F1, my suggestion is go to the Starting Grid podcast. They're on Instagram at the Starting Grid podcast. Shane and Rome, I've been on that show, I think 4 times now. 4 different race weekends, 3 or 4 different race weekends. There's a lot of good content on there. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I would recommend. If you want more F1 breakdowns, probably much better than what I'm doing, because I'm just getting to the short bit of it. But if you want to learn more F1, go into more in depth during race weekends. I'd recommend you subscribe to the Starting Grid podcast on Spotify, or follow the Starting Grid podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But with that is the end of episode number 41. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the content you see here, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. You don't have to, but like I said, it would be greatly appreciated. It would also be appreciated, like I said, my broadcast debut is tomorrow. I hope you guys can tune in just to see a little bit what I can do on air, because it's never happened before. But like I said, that's the end of today's episode. I'll see you guys on Monday. Goodbye, everybody.